Baby. Yes, we are back with Rafik Romdhani's Crash of Verses officially. Sorry about that. I had technical issues. Well, kind of me fudging up a little bit. But that's not why we are here. We are here to rectify the mistakes and carry on with Rafik Ramdani's The Crash of Verses. I made a mistake last week. I said it was his said I thought it was his first book. It was actually his second book. His first book was The Dance of Metaphors, which was amazing also. Today we are going to be reading Her Sea is Rough, A Poet in a Bank, Genes of Poetry, if time allows, because I've wasted an hour. I have other things to do as well. Despair, The Tower of Dust, The Algae of Death, Word Storm, Life Goes On, The Blanket of Night. What's the other one? The blanket. Yeah. Where have you been? Where have you been? The Speed of Devotion, Time's Venom. There are times. I'm coming. In my country. Oh, that one is just it hits home. Revolution. And finally, last but not least, Your Glasses Are Thirsty. Let's just hope we get to those. Now I have to get to page 174 so that we can carry on with the show. It's not a show, but I mean with the reading. Her sea is rough. This one I love this. I read this last night and I fell in love with it all over again. Her Sea is Rough by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. Her sea is rough. There is a sea. Wait a minute. Let's take it from the top. Her sea is rough by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. Her sea is rough. There's a sea on her chest with lofty waves rich in fish. It's where my books are cast, writing hope, making a wish. She is the lips where I land. The fires inside we extinguish. Her heart, a gun in my hand I hold to turn stars to ash. From her, only true ruins gush. Her sea is too rough to withstand. She's the liquid where souls wash and roses blossom despite the sand. That was The Sea is Rough by Rafik Romdhani. Now our next piece is going to be, let's do the Genes of Poetry. 145. Let's do the Genes of Poetry. Oh my goodness. I hope, Rafik, you are watching today. I did see your comment earlier on, but I was just trying to figure some things out. So now this is the official video that we're going to be airing today, posting today, and 145. Let's go to 145. I'm actually searching for the Genes of Poetry. It's an amazing piece. You guys will love it, I swear. I don't bring you poetry that is not, up to standard. I always bring you the best, creme de la creme, Rafik Romdhani kind. So here we are today again. I'm paging through. I'm looking for, yeah, we're almost there. It's a long, it took about 2 pages on this book. It's a long piece, but worth it. It's amazing. Okay, let's do the Genes of Poetry on the Crash of Verses by Rafik Romdhani once again. Genes of Poetry, the Genes of Poetry. I used to write poetry before my mother even gave birth to me. I used to hear her sing sad songs in the fields of wheat and garlic. She was like a fighter in our farm, rooting the garlic bulbs buried under the soil with her grub hoe, while I was uprooting from her singing the genes of my poetry. She carries me inside her, like a river carrying the seeds of life, like a bird carrying its wounds to wind and flying with it so high. She toils and moils, never taking rest until I kick her with my foot. I was inside the amniotic sac, smelling garlic mixed with the dream of waiting after waiting for night to fall so that I could dream dreams of hired breath and imagine the world outside. I was writing every detail and setting it out in the form of deep sighs through her mouth. It was a bitter mouth from the salty water. Yes, water. I drank water from her. The wishes in me, which looked like beginnings. But they were everything to me when I was fetus. I used to sneak into my mother's memory while she slept what is going on with me? While she slept like a very exhausted soldier, with death in her closed eyes like a storm, the desert birth to wipe out the traces of beasts and scatter the unity of sun with sand. My mouth was singing at every kick I gave her. I used to hear the sound of wind in her ears. I imagine many scratches on her neck and shoulders from the dry branches as she was gathering firewood to burn the darkness and to burn the darkness and cook hope for every new day. I was writing everything. Even the words of a fortune teller who used to ride a grey mule to depart from the north and reach our village and tell oppressed women healing words. They were like wisdom and challenge from a goddess close to their suffering. I wrote that too on the walls of mother's womb, and time read them more than once. Death visited my mother more than once while I lived like a throbbing heart inside her. I recorded the breath she shed with me. She had to bear. She had to bear for 9 centuries in a single day. I loved to stay. I loved to stay. And if I could, I would burn all the bitter memories, draw a heaven under her feet on which wind made her sway, and I would call it poetry. She used to die endlessly now and then. In those craggy fields, she made hearts with garlic cloves in May, but I ruined them all except for one heart where I stuck my verses. Poetry, oh man, is amazing. Rafik, that was The Genes of Poetry by Rafik Romdhani and the Crash of Verses. Now the next poem is going to be A Poet in a Bank on page 110. I need to sift through quickly. Don't waste any more time. It's a precious thing. I have a commitment at 1 o'clock, so I'm really trying to be done way before then, so I can prepare for that one. I'm not sure if it's a Zoom meeting or something. I still haven't double checked, but I'm assuming it's a Zoom meeting. 110. A Poet in a Bank by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. A poet in a bank. A poet in a bank is standing before the counter. He does not see anything, but a strikingly beautiful employee who carries in her eyes all the coffers of the world. He touches her hand with the poetry in his palm. Like a full heart to calm, the lady tries to understand, and the rain of sighs turns on a string of smiles that he counts as coins and notes. That's Poetry in a Bank by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. Let's check out the other one, Despair, on 165. It's on page 165 on the Crash of Verses. The poem titled Despair by R.R. Our dear old R.R. He's not so old again. Mr. Rafik, I hope you're watching, and I'm sorry if I stumble a little bit. I'm still a bit it's early morning here. What time is it? I think it's past 11. Haven't had my morning coffee yet. I've got to have coffee. I have to have coffee. We're on 165. Page 165 is going to be Despair by Rafik Romdhani, and The Crash of Verses is the book. Oh my god, I just remembered that I did not put out the links, and I hope if you're watching Mr. Romdhani, that you can add the links on both Friday's video and today's video. That would be great, to all of your books. The next one is Despair by Rafik Romdhani on The Crash of Verses. There we go. Despair is like a king twisting the arms of a soldier. ordering him to fetch by all means the grapes of winter. But as soon as he returns, the king fast harvests for fun. This head's gross blunder. Those strange grapes change into flesh with blood dropping. That is despair by Mr. Rafik Romdhani. He's from Tunisia, just by the way. I'd like to call him the guy from the desert. He's the guy from the desert. Poetry is amazing. I can see he's inspired by a lot of birds and, like, the natural things of life. The desert inspires him a lot. Obviously, he comes from there. The Tower of Dust is the next piece we're going to read. It's on page 182. Obviously, he has to be inspired by dust and birds and all these things. I mean, we live in Africa. The Tower of Dust on page 182 on the crush of verses. Let me tick the ones I've already done. Despair I've done. The Tower of Dust by Mr. Rafik Romdhani. A storm of songs is entering the desert, searching the ears of the old strangers. The colors of time in an absent present. Life is shed among storms, setting fires of which depths never get tired. The stirred storm in my eyes joins the Tower of Dust. Like a bird I fly it, sit down and listen to the swarm of words buzzing like bees in my mind, burnt by reflection and thirst for void's curtains. A lady with the beauty of a rose exists. A lady with the beauty of a rose exists. What am I doing here? A lady with the beauty of a rose exits the nearest door of my guts and dances like a metaphor more. To the putrid, dusty existence, totally lost in this absurdity that words are more. I don't know the way back to my senses. I'm hugged and hanged by the invisible branches of a flown, thorny thing that I hadn't met before. I become part of the storm. I become part of the storm. I home in my arms. I'm a dune in between. In between, no song can ignore. That is the Tower of Dust. I feel like I need to read this again. I'm so sorry. I didn't even feel myself when I was doing this. Tower of Dust by Rafik Romdhani. A storm of songs is entering the desert, searching the ears of all strangers. The colors of time in an absent present. Life is shared among the storms, setting fires of which depths never get tired. The stirred storm in my eyes joins the Tower of Dust. Like a bird I fly it, sit down and listen to the swarm of words buzzing like bees in my mind, burnt by reflection and thirst for voice curtains. A lady with the beauty of a rose exits the nearest door of my guts and dances like a metaphor more to the pure dusty existence, totally lost in this absurdity that words are more. I don't know the way back to my senses. I'm hanged by the invisible branches of a flown thorny thing that I hadn't met before. I become part of the storm I home in my arms. I'm a dune in between, no song can ignore. That is the Tower of Dust by Rafik Romdhani on the crush of verses. Now, next piece we're going to read, let's take that. Next piece we're going to read is The Algae of Death. It's currently on page 182. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to miss that. I'm not sure on page. I mixed up the page numbers. Oh, sorry, it's on 142. My bad. Luckily, I didn't make a mistake this time. 142. Let's check out 142. I don't even know if anybody actually here today. Doesn't matter. People will catch up when they wake up from their sleep. When they wake up from their slumber, when they peel their eyes to Rafik. The Algae of Death, page 142. Let's do you quickly. The Algae of Death by Rafik Romdhani on the Crusher verses reads as follows. Sand is the soft pillar of water that overflows like a big tear for the multiplication of the spawn of sadness and the algae of death. Sand is the pillar of my broken shoulder loaded with the bag of rotten years. Here I throw everything and I rest like a traveler, tired of his love for life, like a Janus torn between all directions and rooted in every far beginnings. Water is drinking the cities of Baines, building in me and replacing them with healing sands. That is The Algae of Death by Rafik Romdhani on a crash of verses. We may as well read I'm Coming. It's on the list. It's next. It's after this, but it was way down at the bottom. We may as well read it. I'm Coming. Yeah, this one. So on page 143 on the crash of verses by Rafik Romdhani. I'm coming. I'm coming to you from the heart of eagerness. I am thirsty and hungry. I have long fangs and long horns, too long to stab the distance between you and me. I'm coming, my love, with the ropes in my hand to bind your arms to the bed and your sporty legs to the thorns that grow on my chest. I know that you turned into a desert from waiting. I know you kicked the sound of the wind with your feet for my sake and hid your sadness and tears in the dunes of your chest. What is up to me? Okay, I know that you turned into a desert from waiting. I know you kicked the sound of the wind with your feet for my sake and hid your sadness and tears in the dunes of your chest, which is waiting for my arrival to burst into heart's tears. I'm coming! And in my bones and neck, a white flood drowns me further as the distance between us decreases as I come closer to you. I will overflow while you are in my lap, and your eyes ask me about the reason for my absence. I will flood and grow you again. The roses on your chest and back will the roses on your chest and back will blossom. I'll watch everything, even your toenails. My longing will reach them, and they will state from my warm lovers. I'm coming, my petal. Just leave the door. I'm coming, my petal. Oh, I just got distracted by something I can hear. I'm coming. I'm coming, my petal. Just leave the door half open and close the windows. I wish the whole world to be shut. I wish the whole world to be shut out. Lie there on your stomach, because the first thing I'll do is take away the setbacks and on the flesh of your back. They won't hurt you or sting you again. It's a poem titled I'm Coming by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. So the next piece we're doing is Word Storm on page 55 by Mr. Rafik Romdhani. I don't even know if anybody is actually here today. I'm not sure. I really am not sure. But it doesn't matter. I never worry about that so much, but it does help, because what we want is for Rafik's work to be heard. You know, Word Storm 55. I just want his work to be heard. That's like my core mission. Hey, doggy. Page 55. I went too far off. Yeah, Word Storm by Rafik Romdhani. I believe I read this on Friday, but I added it to today's list. Oh my god, I love to be just tongue-tied. It annoys me though. Makes me sound like I stutter. Like I need to just relax a bit, I feel. Word Storm by Rafik Romdhani. I envy wind when it gnaws, a line let down by clouds. So it takes revenge on trees, tearing the skin of the seas. I explode into a storm of words to uproot all dead meanings on the backs of metaphors. Inside me, a bluer sky soars, a mountain writhers and snores. The angel of poetry now climbs. I turn my 10 fingers into thinkers. I love this part. To open wide my dead eyes, I try to hide in bitter liquor. I envy wind, unlatch the gates for bleeding pens to chase words and for virgin papers to carry wars. That is Wordstorm by, it's indeed a Wordstorm, Rafik, by Rafik Romdhani. The next poem we're going to read, I read the audio there. The next poem we're going to read is Life Goes on page 188. If anybody here is here, just send a hi or something. Would be much appreciated. So we're doing Life Goes on page 188. Life Goes On by Rafik Romdhani and the Crash of Verses, my ladies. My ladies, my gents, wherever you are. 188. Page 188. Oh, we read The Genes of Poetry. That was an amazing poem. Like, I just came across it again as I'm scrolling through. 188, come on. We are looking for Life Goes On. Life Goes On. Life Goes On. Here we go. I think I found it. Life Goes On by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses is the book we're reviewing today. Not reviewing, but we're just going through his work and just reading his poetry and highlighting the good. Well, everything in this book is actually is amazing. It's a gem. Like I said last Friday, it's an absolute gem. Everything this man touches is gold. And life goes on. Grabbing my crying suitcase filled with old questions, I took a road I didn't want to take. You were asleep, but your image is awake. In the house of the mind, like the only trace left after emotional hurricanes, wind was shouting at my face, spewing intricate directions and spitting on the long necks of boring, maddeningly tedious hours. You were in the space between walls, but I know I would invent horizons for your trembling and lonely arms. I filled my heart with you. I filled my heart with you through sighs. I took my suitcase and closed my eyes with the bitterness in my lips, on my lips. My eyelids burned like two wings caught in conflagrations and finding no exit. Sleep, sweet love. Sleep, sweet love. You are always awake in my soul, like a rippling song in my desert. Life goes on. Love. Life goes on, love. I'm leaving my ache. I'm leaving with my ache. It's very, very sad. It feels like the parting of soulmates, or what do they call it? Twin flames, those things. Just tell me what you think of the piece if you are here watching. Just tell me what you think. I feel it's a lovely poem. I'm not the romantic kind, but I'm a human being, and these things they tend to just tug at the heart a little bit and make you feel mushy on the inside and emotional and whatnot. But that's what Rafik does. He gets these emotions out of you. I was having a conversation with him one time. He was saying, we were talking about writing long form and short form, and we were talking about how incredible writing poetry can be, but at the same time it's so taxing because you literally pen and you just ink all of your emotions onto paper. Well, we do keyboard mostly, but you sort of but I always love a good old ink and paper. So it always begins for me. But anyway, that was Life Goes On by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. We'll just scratch that through. We're done with it. Then on the very next page, on page 189, is The Blanket of Night by Rafik Romdhani. The blanket of night. Keep twinkling like a river. In the blanket of night. In the blanket of the night. Be the dance and the dancer and the tongue of dynamite. Let's explode like an answer on the corpse of a question. Let's explore that like an answer on the corpse of a question, where an anthem and a nation united fires in one ember against the ashes of our death that wind awakens in November. Please abate the wrath of earth and save me from my winter. On my way to you I do shiver. Mountains love to flay my feet. Storms scythe and the last flower, as they have nothing to eat except your face. I come to cover. What's that? It's a bird. That startled me a bit. There's a bird in my window. As they have nothing to eat except your face, I come to cover with heaven's feather and heart's heat. That is the blanket of night. That bird was so rude. I'm so sorry. Startled me a bit. That was the blanket of night by Rafik Romdhani and the crush of verses. We may as well do Where Have You Been, although it's not the next one. Oh, it actually is, Blyce. I love it that I don't have to search for it. Where Have You Been, right, by Rafik Romdhani and the crush of verses. Where have you been all these years? When I was carrying the corpse of the night on the shoulders, a corpse pale and white, beaten and bitten by volcanoes, a mouth. Where have you been, my savior? Where have you been, my savior? When the vultures of despair descended like Roman arrows into the burning center and scarred the first maps I imagined. Where have you been, your grandeur? Tossing soul you don't want to remember, behind the echo of an evening wolf chased. Where have you been? I stood and waited for you, behind the bars of my faithfulness, like a hungering sad eagle, never thinking of carrion after the extinction of all hares. Where have you been when I was sobbing and gulping, my regret blended with tears? I want to repeat that last one. I just really want to repeat this. I think the very last stanza. Where have you been when I stood and waited for you, behind the bars of my faithfulness, like a hungering sad eagle, never thinking of carrion after the extinction of all hairs? Where have you been when I was sobbing and gulping, my regret blended with tears? I felt that one. I really, really felt that one. I really, like, he got me where he said, at the bars of my faithfulness, like the bars of my faithfulness. It's like you were holding, it's like prison. It's like you were holding onto the bars and then you had all this faith. And yeah, it just got me. Got me. Rafik, you're doing wonders here. Where Have You Been was a poem by Rafik Romdhani, which I just read. The next one is Speed of Devotion on page 192. Speed of Devotion by Rafik Romdhani on the crush of verses. I want an ocean of honey because I was sick of your eyes' salt. My mouth complains about it and turns to a bitter story of aborted kisses and delight. I search a new nation of imagination, where you either alight or fly, where you either alight or I fly, or I fly to you with the speed of devotion, just to wipe out fires away. I want an infinite space to inherit, to take me outside the mind's garret. I wanted to be my pen's paper. There's something about this poem. Speed of Devotion by Rafik Romdhani. I want an ocean of honey because I'm sick of because I'm sick of eyes salt. My mouth complains about it. It turns to a bitter story of aborted kisses and delight. I search a new nation of imagination. I search where you either alight or I fly. Where you either alight or I fly to. Man, oh man. I'm not doing this piece any justice. I think I'm too excited about it. Shake it off. Speed of Devotion. I want an ocean of honey because I'm sick of eyes salt. My mouth complains about it. It turns to bitter story of aborted kisses and delight. Such a new nation of imagination where you either alight or I fly to you and speed with the speed of devotion. Just to wipe our fires away. I want an infinite space to inherit, to take me outside of the mind's garret. I want it to be my pen's paper unmoored. and making sense of the void. I need a magic battery for for oblivion, to replenish the emotional corridors with heavenly hues but no illusion. I'd like to stumble upon rippling waters, pick up the sun and the moon with my hand, and taste their peerless arrogance. I want coagulated ink so that I may stand and throw back darkness. I want a field of wit to be the scarecrow of silence. I want this thirst to be fire. Suddenly a bullet ends my moans. That is the speed of devotion. I have to read this poem again some other time. Something was happening to me. I don't know what it was. Time's Venom is another piece we're going to read. Time's Venom. Time's Venom. If you have seen the words writing me on the face of water, on those green eyes of birds, try not to understand their hunger. If you have seen my heart on paper, dreaming of blossoming all night, like a flower by the grave of Pessoa, do not ruin any of its astral petals. If you have seen it losing control, tattering on the brink of a rainbow, do not intervene, for truth is the fall. A heart is a child. If you don't know, let it all fall. Let it fall and play in earth's deep furrows. Pour all the ink of years and years. And pour all the ink of years and years. Let it turn into a cynic rock and sun, like a lonely albatross among bears. If you have seen it stuck in thorns, or wandering miles through flames, if you have seen it sobbing more ink, the phrases of metaphors, try not to stop it, because you can't. I told you, it's a kid who won't listen to mind's warning or to life's lesson due to the calculations that it isn't. If you have seen time's venom filling my very veins with vagaries to the hilt, mortgating them to verses London, and poetry's map of innocence and guilt, if you have seen my words drinking their meanings from the hands like little birds who lost their mothers in a misfortunate forest doomed to fires, read them with more than your eyes, reassure them with your loving touches, and bend the huge sky around them. Even word is so ambrosious a gem for the eye that inspiration can only buy. If you have seen love through a phantom or heard through a thunder Venus's cry, make sure that nothing happens at random. Time's Venom by Rafik Romdhani on the Crush of Verses. Amazing. Such a sublime piece. Now the next piece is There Are Times. Wait, where is it? There are times. It's on page 200. Not very far. Time's Venom is an amazing piece. There are times by Rafik Romdhani on the Crush of Verses. There are times when you transform into a provocative storm of sighs, looking through raven's dead eyes, causing your own harm unknowingly. There are times when life bends like a labyrinth over your head, lecturing volumes of lies, leaving you puzzled and buffeted in many ways. Your magnetic mind can't help but burn. Like a dirge in a dream, dreamers soliloquize. There are times when you fall as a flame outside its own fires to eat in your bosom. Those dreary climbs. There are times. There are times is a piece by Rafik Romdhani on the Crush of Verses. Oh, there's a piece titled An Exploding World. It's too long. We're not going to be able to squeeze it in. I have to read in my country. I really, 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 really have to read in my country. Rafik Romdhani has a piece titled Your Glasses Are Thirsty. It's on page 93. Let's see if it's not far, then we can read it. Let's see what's here. 91. Life walks on my blood. There's another piece there. I'm going to Times Venom was amazing, so I'm going to read to page 91. So next one, that's not very far off, before In My Country, because In My Country is a bit far off on another page. So I'll do Revolution. It's on page 89 and 91. Actually, very far off than what I thought initially. So Revolution won't do. I think I'll go straight to In My Country. In my country, where are you? In my country, where are you? In My Country, 157. Let's do 157. I don't even know if anybody's here due to the setup of this page. I don't want to go through what I went through the other time. So In My Country is on page 159, not very far from here. This piece I read last night, and I thought to myself, man oh man, Inspired Book Club wants to know what's up. So I have a review. I currently have a review on Inspired. I decided to do Brother of Death by Martin Hoyle. That's the book I'm going to talk about there. On the other side of my life. I'm due to a review there, so I decided to do that one. I'm looking for In My Country by Rafik Romdhani. It's on page 157 to page 159. Here it is. Found you. It's very long, so brace yourselves. I don't know how... Oh, we've only done 36 minutes. That's not bad. In My Country by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses is a piece that I'm going to read next. In my country, they laugh with one eye, and with the other one cry, whispering evil until it looks as sweet as a new bud in the branch of a grape tree. In my country, they dig pits for poets and their written poems. In their written poems, they tear off their eyelids at night so that they do not cry their buried pain. They chase a poet's dream with their cages in their hands, cages biting emptiness in regret. In my country, they import the stranger to sing our tragedies and tears. They sell olives before olive trees, even bloom denying the truth that they are as old as Rome. In my country, they slaughter starlings to squeeze the olive oil that they drank. In a moment of fear from the olives, they incite parents against their children and pound peace on the back of cement. In my country, they burn wheat for forests. They burn wheat and forests and act surprised by the cunning and wickedness of a falcon. They insult children merely because they are children. It doesn't matter. When they grow up, they will forget. A poet does not forget. A poet remembers buried all and buries all the graves within himself until he erupts one day. A poet dreams outside the walls of sleep. Scatters existence without regret. He does not recognize death and does not atone. He cries with both eyes and laughs with both too. His nails are eaten by the snow and bashed by the wind. In my country, the killer walks through the funeral of the murdered, weeping over their tombs like a broken storm coming from the ancient Greece. In my country, everyone has poetry that he does not have the courage to dream. Write or carry... let's go back. In my country, everyone has poetry that he does not have the courage to dream. that he does not have the courage to dream, write, or carry his shoulders like a forgotten heroine. In my country, pigeons build their nests on electrical wires because they know from the beginning that trees have become booby trapped, and that the wildfire is bitter reality. I hear them searching for the possibility of nesting on their own backs and allowing the sun to incubate their eggs until they hatch. What is this moment? What is this torment? I'm worrying like a hill contoured by wolves. I'm inventing, collecting reasons why my country must be beautiful. And it is, with the truth that it does not want to be. As they want me to paint it, my country is beautiful as a mosaic on which hyenas give birth and eat carrion. It is beautiful, like a jugular vein under scissors. It is beautiful, like a caged bird counting its feathers every day. It is beautiful as the minds that travel to another country, beautiful like sea salt that a stranger sees as sugar, beautiful to the point of being ephemeral, beautiful as a rose battling the dung hills and supping defiantly the hell in their smells. That is In My Country by Rafik Romdhani on a crash of verses. You heard it here, guys. You heard it here first. I want to read Revolution. I really truly want to read Revolution. Can we? Should we? Revolution is on page 91. Far off. Revolution is another. I feel like at this point, these pieces that I'm reading are very socially conscious. It touches on politics a little bit, which is the thing that I love to look at poetically. I love to look at. Don't like to engage much on politics, but I'm very much aware of what's happening. I've always been aware. I don't like the debates, though, even though the debates are, because I don't like the debates much, because you'll find that we're not listening to each other more than we're just talking at each other. So when I read such politically inspired pieces by people like Rafik Romdhani, I'm like, these are the conversations we should be having. These are the poems that we should be writing. These are the thoughts that we should be putting out there, ink on paper. That's what I really truly believe works. Other than the other things that we do, we spit fire at each other, instead of having debates that are amicable and just take the time to listen to each other instead of talking at each other. We don't talk to each other anymore. We spit fire at each other in the form of words. They're like daggers. That's what I've seen. It's happening. You can't deny that. But anyway, this is not a rally. It's a poetic rally. It's not a political rally. It's a poetry. It's a poetry rally. Think of it that way. But anyway, we touch everything. We touch on everything. That's what I love to. That's why I love to read Rafik, because he's not afraid to touch subjects like this. Excuse me. So I said we're reading this next one. I said I wanted to read Revolution. It's on page 91. I want to read Revolution. It's one of those pieces you like, what? Can I read Pillars of Peace? It's not on the list, but can I read Pillars of Peace again? I think I read this on Friday, but because it's such a short piece, I feel it's worthy to be read again. Pillars of Peace. A whole day's war and a dawn's wound, bleeding with all kinds of birds, will always sleep on the pillars of peace despite the battles in the mind. Rafik, you're a tease when it comes to the short pieces. You dump something in someone's spirit like that. You're like, yes, food for thought. That's what I love about you, man. You have a way. I said we're doing Revolution. Oh yeah, here it is. Oh, it's actually what color is your demons? A piece that I wanted to read. Revolution is on 91. But can we read what color is your demon? Rafik. Just the first line. The country needs to go on a trip far away from blood. True. You have shed blood, milk olive, and the soul of ink. You've you've banned the classic tears of relief behind void's tank. Who are you? What color's your demon dipped in wild honey like a dry tongue? The country needs to grow a black beard, to bewail the corpses of freedom and the blue plain, to dupe the sky and the sea. Its its return would be without burden like you, but with a suitcase full of minds not unfree, of files of poems and written songs in hands. Who are you? You set fire to the grinning body of existence wrapped in orphans' trees. You orphaned the words of childhood in ominous nights with long words that abide in their time of the for the right moment to leap onto the neck of the guardians of peace. You are the tales of old demons buried by history but foolishly revived by time. Who are you? What is the name of the disease you did not recover from? They have grown in the caves of fears and slept the I struggle with this word. The stipatenasisma of furrows just to cut the roots of life and cause harm. He poses a question. He says, "Who are you? Who are you?" I think he speaks to his country. I think he's seen atrocities in his country. And he's seen it not go into the pretty much the right direction in which like he sees fit that it should be following, should be going. I believe that's what happened. That's what's happening in South Africa at this moment. There's a lot going on here politically as well. It irritates the poetry out of me, and I love that Rafik touched on it. It's happening right up in Tunisia, which is it's up north in our country, in our continent, and let's just have a look at where it is in the continent. I mean, embarrass myself if I know geography. Yeah, it's right at the top. It's right at the top. Right. I didn't. I don't know if you saw that, but like right at the top is Tunisia, and I'm from down here, South Africa. So politically, we're in the same boat because I mean, leadership is rotten, like rotten. Have you ever smelled a bad potato that's rotten on your vegetable rack? I don't know if you guys keep those, but I have one. So it's like that. It's just atrocious, really. So I said I want to read Revolution. So that was What Colors Your Demon by Rafik Romdhani, and Revolution is on page 91. Yeah. Oh, there's Poetic Blood. I keep running into pieces here. Sometimes Poetic Blood. Sometimes a shiver comes down from the winter cold on a towering building. The roof contains rainwater as a mirror, or small hanging sea in which the sky sees its blue face and the spread wings of birds. A shiver descent in the word, and the world imagines it feels the cold. There is flooding volcanoes of poetic blood within each of us that feeds on frosts and man, something's biting me. That feeds on frosts and ice and icicles. Nature is made of foam and fire, of minerals and bones covered with transience. Inanimate things have invisible souls, freed in air, indistinguishable from nothingness. Neither the walls, nor the mountains, nor the first dances of dawn, no frozenness. Snow itself is warmth, hard to comprehend. The small piece of The small piece of biscuit in the hand of a child who's crossing a winding river is bliss, a blessing of a blessing, despite the limitless of formlessness. The whole future is written in his copybook, spotted with fanciful colors and scattered sauce. A shiver hungrily searches the way to my bone, but I catch it as I do a butterfly and call it a poem. That is Poetic Blood by Rafik Romdhani. And now I'm running into the Siege of Presence. No, I'm not going to read that because I said I want to read Revolution, which is on page 91. I need to get there. Yeah, here we go. And the next piece after that, which is the final piece, is going to be Your Glasses Are Thirsty by Rafik Romdhani, and the crash of verses. We're at 15 minutes of this video. Okay. No, that's the heart uncorks itself. I'm running into gems again. Your glasses are thirsty. I didn't get to Revolution. Wait. Revolution is too long. I think we'll do Revolution on the next video. But a piece that we can read is a piece we can read is Your Glasses Are Thirsty by Rafik Romdhani. We're going to read this one. This is a final piece because what I did was I squeezed in pieces that I was not supposed to, that I did not intend on squeezing in, because initially I think I had 15 poems here. I think I may have added 2 or 3 more. So there's not going to be a time for me to read through Revolution because it's way too long, so it needs to go in the next video. And I did promise some more African poets and writers, the authors that I was going to read. I think I had 3 Nigerians I was going to read. Where's Nigeria? Niger, where are you? Okay, my neck is turning. I'll find it some other time. That's not the point now. Geographically, I'm kind of challenged now because I have to turn my head. Anyway, Your Glasses Are Empty is a piece on Rafik Romdhani's Crash of Verses. So what we'll do is I'm going to read this one. This one is going to be the very final piece that I'm reading today, and I'm currently at 51 minutes of this, and I just want to say thanks for stopping by. If you popped by, I didn't even see anyone, or if you catch this video later on and you decide to watch, whether you watch it halfway through or all the way, there's a tip. You can speed it up if you want and catch the good pieces where I didn't stumble. I hope I wasn't so bad, but I felt a little rusty today. But without any further ado, let us do Your Glasses Are Empty by Rafik Romdhani. Like I said, he's a Tunisian poet. I think he's done now 4 books, if I'm not mistaken, which is the book we're doing now, which is the Crash of Verses, Rough Roads. The first one is actually, they're not in any particular order, just keep that in mind. The Dance of Metaphors and The Vapor of the Mind. So I remember I did do a video previously, before the one I did Friday, where I had links out on those videos, so you can check that out there. So Your Glasses Are Thirsty by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses. Last piece for today. Your glasses are thirsty. Leaders forget you drink in dark rooms of forsaken promises. They kick you with dust and you fall discontent over the tears of a rose. Now I understand why fog falls each dawn and late at night. A ship of light in a sea of shock. Water plays with its watered down shadow and sings to the endless remote depths. The branch of vanity ignores you. I think it thinks of nothing save the wings of a dove that perches to build its nest. Nests are springs within all seasons, and the fruits to be eaten by the eyes as soon as the dream eggs hatch. Doves build promises you can watch. As for the leaders, they will build lies on the wastes of storms. You are forgotten and almost cut off. You won't enjoy the shade of trees because they deny that you were the one who planted them on your sweat-soaked palm. One day your ink will forget you, just as your eyes close on magic screens. Your glasses are thirsty on wooden tables. How can you quench your desert's thirst, filled with rancor against sea waves? The dream window, ruffled by a cloud of ashes, clouds the window. Close the window, let wind take care of the rest. You are deleted like a future from ugliness, or an odd number in the equation of lust. That is Revolution by Rafik Romdhani on the Crash of Verses, the book we've been reviewing, we've been talking about, making noise about since last Friday. So that was Revolution. Sorry, there was I'm so sorry, I'm so stuck on Revolution. That was Your Glasses Are Thirsty by Rafik Romdhani. I am out of here because I'm going to have, let's see if I can read other poetry besides Rafik on a short video, because I have to get ready for 1 o'clock, and 1 o'clock I have a meeting. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this messy reading. It was a messy one, very rusty almost. Last Friday it was very, very sunny, so I was pretty much relaxed. Today is a bit cloudy, and it's not helping the situation whatsoever, and it's kind of affecting my mood, I feel. So yeah, Friday was a little nah. But look forward to more of these. Just pray for me, keep me. It says that God keeps me in good health so I can show up for these videos. I love reading out poetry, even though I stutter and stumble on words and trip on words every now and then. But this was a really good live